Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Chimezie. Now you're about to watch a video that is part of a series. This is a series where I talk about my health journey and what that has been up until now. The first couple of videos were recorded in 2024, and then the third and fourth videos were recorded in 2025. Please feel free to like, comment, and share this with anyone you think it would help. Thank you. One of the things that I would like to do, I would like this channel to be able to do, is to be a safe space where we can talk about the scary side of being a woman. And as a way of demonstrating that, I would like to share my health journey with you. So you will probably hear me from time to time talking about health, because health is such an integral part of life as humans, but also for women, especially as we get older into our 40s and then older and older, the need to focus on health becomes paramount. It becomes so important because there's so many things that start to change, and it's important to get a hold of those things. And for me, my health journey has been a little bit of a roller coaster. One of the things that I've learned very quickly is that the fact that you can wake up every day and do the things that you could do yesterday doesn't mean you shouldn't do a health checkup. It's so important to do that once a year. Go to your doctor, get some blood work done, just have a look and if nothing else, just for peace of mind. For me, this journey began last year. I decided at the start of last year that it was the year I would get my health right. I would go to the doctor to do a checkup. I hadn't done a health checkup in a long time. Let's not even try to calculate how long. It's been that long. And I just thought, you know what? This is it. I hit 41 last year. And before hitting 41, I thought, you know what, I'm 40 years old, so if I don't start to pay particular attention now, when am I going to start? So that was my decision at the start of the year. Having said that, I didn't follow through immediately. And I know a lot of us fall into this boat as well, where you keep procrastinating. Oh, I'll do it next week. I'll make that appointment next week. And before you know it, next week is now 3 months down the line and you still haven't done anything about it. And it was interesting now in hindsight, I realized that for the last year, the year before that, and maybe even a half year before that, my body has started giving me signals that I needed to check it out and see what was wrong, but I wasn't paying attention. One of the signals that I had, the very clear one that I had, was I started to have these rashes or things that looked like bites that would just come all of a sudden, maybe on somewhere on my hand, a finger, or my neck, or my tummy. It would just come from somewhere. And I started, you know how we do research, Dr. Google answers all the questions. I did research on Google, and some of the answers that I got, when I looked at the bite marks and scars, I thought that I had bed bugs. And quite frankly, for the life of me, I couldn't understand where the bed bugs could be coming from. I started doing more to make sure that my clothes were, especially my beddings, were free of bugs. So I would not just line dry my beddings, for example, but also toss them in the dryer so they get that additional heat. I would iron them before using them, or even before putting them away, I would iron them. And so I kept doing this, but like every few months, every 3 months or so, I'll just get a new bug bite. And this continued for at least a whole year. I eventually moved house. At this time, I'd been sharing an apartment with someone else, and I decided to move out to live on my own. And when I moved out, I left my bed, I threw out the mattress, the pillows, I just threw out everything, everywhere I thought that the bugs could be. So I moved into a new place. everything that I was using was new to this new place. And I thought that's the end of it. I even I started using oils in my wash. I started using eucalyptus oil, which I do recommend. It's really nice to use on your clothes. It has some disinfectant properties in it, so it's good for that. And when I moved here, I was still doing the same regimen that I used to do. I would use eucalyptus oil. I would I would launder my beddings. I would iron them before putting them away, so that when I put them back on my bed, I was sure that they were all fresh. But these bugs kept biting, and it's now graduated from being bites to feeling like rashes coming on, like you would see, as if it was a whole slew of bites, as if some insect that bites just took a stroll across my stomach or my arm or my back or something. And they're so uncomfortable when this happened. The itch was so bad. And after going through this in the new place for about 6 months or so, maybe more, I just decided, you know what? I'm tired of trying to figure this out on my own. I'm just going to go and see a GP. I've been wanting to get my health right anyway and do just a regular checkup. So this was just my push. So I went to see a GP. And for those who don't know, depending on where you live, a GP is a general practitioner, a doctor. So I went to the GP and told her I had a rash and this and that. And then she asked me the last time I did a health checkup. And I told her it had been a long time. It had been a long time and I wanted to get one done as well. And so she prescribed this slew of blood tests for me to get done. And then she also examined me, looked at the rash and what was left of it at the time that I went there. And she said that I had hives. Never had hives before in my entire life. And I wondered what could be the cause of this. But interestingly, she said something else as well. She prescribed some soothing medication for me to take. So basically just a body wash that was soapless for me to use, and lotion as well that was fragrance free for me to use. It's soothing to the skin because it's got oatmeal in it. So oatmeal apparently is soothing, and so she prescribed that I use that. Prescribed some medication as well. And then when the test results came out, I went back for a follow-up appointment. And then the interesting reveal came that I was very low on iron, and that not just very low, alarmingly low, like I needed an iron infusion stat. And so within a week, I was scheduled to come back to the clinic, get that iron infusion, 2 bags of iron. I don't remember how many mils in one bag, but I got 2 of those. And then I was put on iron medication and also put on vitamin D tabs because I was also low on vitamin D. So got the iron infusion and then went on that iron tablet medication, and then also had to increase my red meat content on my red meat intake. So I started this treatment for I probably did it for about 8 months. And then when I went back to do another blood work, because I would do another blood work. So after the iron infusion, a few weeks after the iron infusion, about 4 weeks, I was asked to come back for another blood test just to see if my levels were up. And it was also discovered that I was anemic. Who knew? And so it was a question of, was it the low iron deficiency or was it something else causing the anemia? That's an ongoing journey, because fast forward, by the end of that year, my iron levels were now back up. In fact, I was told that I now had a little too much iron. I had to stop the medication immediately, and but I was still anemic. So that's now been an ongoing journey. And interesting fact, after that iron treatment, that iron infusion, and then going on those iron tablets, I didn't have hives anymore. Those bites, rashes, whatever they looked like, stopped. The last time I interacted with this was, say, November of last year, but I had the iron infusion somewhere around June, July. So almost 12 months since I got my iron levels back up. I haven't had that rash. I didn't change my mattress. I didn't change my bed. I didn't change my laundry routine. Still use eucalyptus, but I didn't do anything else. I haven't changed the detergent that I use. I haven't changed anything, but the rashes haven't come back since then. And so I started wondering about that a few weeks ago, and wondering why there seems to be some correlation between my iron deficiency and those rashes. And I did some research on hives, and I realized that hives actually sometimes are an indicator that there's something wrong, that there's something more serious wrong that needs to be checked out. And so now I realize that my body had been giving me signs for about a year to a year and a half, and I was just treating the symptoms rather than trying to get to the root of the problem. So, lesson learned: don't just look at the symptoms, and don't always, sometimes things like rashes, they look very minor. Don't be so quick to self-medicate and self-diagnose. Go and see a doctor. It'll cost you money, yes, but they're the professionals. They have gone through the training to look for the deeper problems. You don't have that training if you're not a doctor. So that's my big takeaway from that. Iron levels back up, still anemic, or so they say. As part of that journey with being anemic, so iron levels got back up, but still anemic. And so the doctors are wondering what else is wrong. Let's look at some other things. So I was referred to a rheumatologist to go and see if they can examine me and see if there's anything wrong from their point of view. Went into the hospital, saw the rheumatologist. A rheumatologist looks at the bones, the immune system. So basically for them to see if there was anything wrong with my immune system. And I went to the rheumatologist, got examined, and they couldn't find anything wrong. They asked questions about your family history, your health history, all of that stuff, but nothing was found. I didn't have any, from their perspective anyway, they couldn't find any immune disease that I could have that was causing the anemia. Did another blood test, still anemic. Got referred back to my GP and recommended that the GP refer me to a hematologist. Now, a hematologist, their main focus is blood and blood organs and blood related diseases. So went and saw the rheumatologist actually just last week. Went and saw the rheumatologist again, got asked this bunch of questions, and and from the last test that I'd done before that referral, or at the time of the referral, some of my blood levels were still low. For example, things like platelets were low, hemoglobin was low, and so I had to do another round of tests. Yeah, this arm of mine. I've had to do another round of tests, so I've given some blood work, and now awaiting the results. But there was something interesting that emerged in my conversation with the hematologist. I think I would say it was probably a good coincidence that she was born in Africa, like I was, and lived some of her life in Africa when she was little. But also she has practiced in other parts of the world where she's also interacted with people from other parts of the world, say people from Africa, people from the Middle East, Europe, all of that. And she pointed out something to me, and she said that my blood counts, some of the blood counts that are low and are suggesting anemia is actually not uncommon for people born in Africa or the Middle East. I think your environment and the different things affect, and so for me and so she said that she has actually seen people who have lower counts than I do, but it's still good to do some other tests, to run some other tests that haven't been run, just to be able to rule things out and say, okay, I've actually checked for her background, where she's lived for most of her life, where she was born, all of that. This is actually normal. There's nothing to worry about. Or maybe it's a little bit low, but it just needs to be monitored. Nothing further needs to be done. Or maybe there's a deeper issue there that will be excavated through this most recent round of tests. And so that gave me a bit of comfort to know that there's actually a different perspective, because the doctors that I've seen previously, I don't think any of them had that exposure to people who are from my side of the world. And so that's the numbers that they are seeing are numbers for this people who are born, say, in Australia, who in the States, in these parts of the world. Environments are different, and the environment where you were born apparently does impact your general health. And that's not to say you're less healthy. It just means that there are some factors that would be different compared to someone born elsewhere. So I've got an appointment 8 weeks from last week to see a follow-up appointment to see the hematologist. I'll let you know how that goes. But big takeaway from this, please, please, please go do a checkup. If you haven't done one in years, please go do a checkup. It's just better for you to have peace of mind and to catch things before they actually get blown out of proportion. I highly, highly encourage that you do that. Especially as you're getting older, things are changing. It's good to keep abreast of those changes so that you know the best way to look after yourself to make sure that the next decades that you live are your healthiest. Bye for now.